it's Thomasina. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, thanks for tuning in. I am a model based in New York City, and on my channel I showcase my lifestyle as a model living in New York and provide tips and inside scoop on how to become a model and how to move to New York City if that's something you're interested in. And in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about some of the costs of being a model. Most things in life are not free, and it's the same with the career. Sometimes you have to make specific investments in yourself to get to where you want to be, and it's the same within the modeling industry. Also, disclaimer, I am recording this video with my retainers in, so if I have a slight lisp or if I'm fumbling over my words, that's probably why. Bear with me. It's probably going to be a quick video anyway. The first cost that you'll most likely incur as a model are paying for photo shoots, aka test shoots. These are the photo shoots you do to build your portfolio so that you have images to showcase to clients and brands what you look like in front of the camera, what you're able to do. This is basically how you build your portfolio. So as a model, you will be paying for test shoots. Sometimes if you're freelance, you will set up the test shoots yourself by reaching out to photographers and figuring out what their rates are, figuring out what their photo shoot packages look like, and seeing what works for you and what works for your budget. Other times, if you are a signed model and you're brand new, you don't really have a portfolio, if you have a good agency, they will see, here I go fumbling. I'm gonna have to take these out like midway through. If you're with a good agency, they will set up the test shoot for you because they work with a lot of reputable photographers who they know the caliber of their work is industry standard. A lot of times when new models set up test shoots on their own, the photographers that they're shooting with don't always meet industry standards, so you're gonna pay for these photos, and then when you present these photos, no one is booking you because the standard of the quality of the image is not there. So sometimes it's helpful to have your agencies do it. But for me, I started out really young, and of my 10 plus years of being in the modeling industry, I've set up like 99% of my own test shoots by reaching out to photographers and having photographers reach out to me to shoot. And in my case, I have never had to pay for a test shoot, thankfully. I'm very blessed to be able to say that. I've never had to pay for a test shoot, and so my portfolio I built through collaborations with photographers who were kind enough to shoot me and collaborate on concepts together. I'm very thankful for that, and if you're curious about how you can attempt to build your portfolio and test with photographers, check out a video that I made previously about how to build your portfolio as a model. I'll link it somewhere up there. Now let's talk about pricing. Test shoot packages can range from $300 to $1,000 to $1,500 depending on the quality and I guess the experience of the photographer that you're working with. So the more experienced photographers are often going to cost more money, and the more beginner photographers who are just starting to build their portfolio as well are likely to charge less. So in these packages, you usually have a set amount of outfits. You usually have a set amount of retouched images that they'll give back to you. Some packages will include the makeup artist, some packages will include the styling, some packages will include a hairstylist as well. So you have to determine what you need for your portfolio, what you're able to do yourself. Sometimes if you do your own makeup and you do your own hair, you can come to the photographer like, hey, I want to do 3 looks and get maybe 4 images back. Can you give me like a little bit lower price since you're not using the styling and you're not using the makeup artist? They would be able to offer you a cheaper package. So you just have to determine what you need for your portfolio, what kind of costs you are able to offset on your own. But that is a major expense that most models would incur in their career as a model, is doing those test shoots, paying for those photo shoots, and building your portfolio. The next expense of being a model is transportation. So if you live in New York like I do and you don't drive, a lot of times you'll be taking the subway to castings and bookings, and sometimes to make sure you're actually there on time, you will want to take an Uber or a taxi, and those costs can add up. If the client is not paying for your way there, oftentimes models are paying for transportation themselves, especially if it's just to a casting. Most clients do not pay for a model's transportation to the casting because they don't even know if you're going to book the job, and they're not spending money on you if you haven't booked the job. So you definitely have to have the funds to get around your respective city. Now, if you are in maybe like North Carolina or Georgia, where it's more common for people to have cars, then of course you would just have to have money for gas money. If you are booked out of your respective city, let's say I live in New York, but a client has booked me in LA, sometimes models have to pay for airfare or a bus ticket or however you decide to get to that other location. Sometimes you are responsible for paying for it. There are certain scenarios where a client may not have the budget to fly out talent to that specific location, or the client is requesting that talent work as a local, meaning they're hiring you locally and you have to be responsible for getting yourself to the shoot location. So as a model, you have to have the funds for your Ubers, your taxis, your Metro cards, your flights, your bus tickets. If the client is not paying for these things, you have to be the one to pay for it. If you're just starting out and you haven't accumulated enough money to be able to save for these things, some agencies will allow you to ask for advance payments, meaning that the agency will pay your way to the location, the agency will pay for your hotel and all those things, and then once you start making money from the agency, they will take their 20% in addition to the money that they lent you to be able to afford to get to these places. And some agencies even charge interest on those advance monies. So best case scenario is just to save your own money for those instances so that you're not asking for advances from your agency and you're not having to pay interest on those advances. Following behind that, another thing that models have to pay for is housing, of course. You have to have a roof over your head, but oftentimes models do not have one set location that they live in, one home base. So they may live in New York for 3 months and then LA for 3 months and then Cape Town for 3 months. And so obviously, I mean, unless you're filthy rich and you're making bank and you got a sugar daddy or something, you don't want to have a lease in all 3 of those locations. And so a lot of models will have a base, maybe in New York, where they have a lease on an apartment, but when they have to travel to another location for an extended period of time, they will pay for a model apartment. So model apartments are usually found through an agency. An agency maybe hosts an Airbnb or an apartment and rent those rooms out to models. They're usually probably a little bit more expensive than Airbnbs because obviously the agencies have to recoup a profit from that as well, but models are responsible for paying those. This one is a big one for me, and I can honestly say I've spent a lot of money on this particular thing. Thankfully, I haven't spent as much money on transportation because most of the clients that I've booked, actually I think all the clients that I've booked have paid for my accommodations anywhere that I was traveling for work. So thankfully I've lucked up on a lot of these expenses, but this one right here, and this is probably my fault, but another expense that models will incur while pursuing their career or while in their career is money for a wardrobe, you guys. For the longest time, living in North Carolina, I thought I had a solid sense of style, but the sense of style in North Carolina and New York is very, very different. And I'll just say North Carolina is a bit behind when it comes to fashion comparatively to New York. So when I moved back to New York, I still had my North Carolina sense of style and fashion, and let's just say it was not up to par with the girlies up here that were in the modeling industry. It just wasn't cutting it. Thank God my face was cute, that was getting me by, but my actual wardrobe itself was not it. So I had to invest in a solid heel collection. If you guys could see my shoe rack, it is insane. And this isn't even all of my shoes. Now when I go out, 90% of the time I'm in heels, and over time I had to adjust my wardrobe to fit the way people look in New York when they step outside. It is a fashion show. Even outside of fashion week, everyone just looks so nice. Even their casual clothing still looks up to par. So I had to revamp my wardrobe to be able to, I don't want to say fit in, but to be able to level up. My mom always tells me you gotta level up, you gotta level up. You have to, if you want to be a model, you have to look the part. I kid you not, every time I leave my apartment, someone is like, oh my god, you're so beautiful, you should model. Oh my god, are you a model? People are always asking me because I look the part. Granted, it's probably because I got a cute face too, but it's the whole package. So if you do not have the wardrobe, the model wardrobe, you definitely will need to save some money, put some money aside to be able to invest in a nice quality wardrobe. I invested in a quality like wool trench coat because I didn't have like a cute trench coat, and I felt like all the girlies look so sophisticated in their cute little overcoats, and here I come with like this big puffer jacket just looking like a freaking marshmallow, and it was not it. So yeah, I definitely had to adjust my wardrobe and level up my wardrobe, so definitely put aside some money for that if your wardrobe is not already up to par. Following along with looking the part, another expense that models incur in their career is paying money for makeup. Now you guys know me, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I do not wear makeup. I rarely wear makeup. The only time I wear makeup is usually for work. Outside of that, I'm not wearing it. However, that should not be the standard. I definitely should at least know how to beat my face, but I definitely have the products for it. I just choose not to use them. So you definitely want, I just said definitely like 50 times. Anyways, you want to invest in nice quality makeup, and you want to learn how to do your makeup because outside of like actually working as a model, oftentimes you're invited to events, you're going to dinners, you know, fashion week comes up, and you're like, when you are not actively working and instead you're just an attendee, you still want to look the part. And there have been many occasions where I was invited to an event or something and I didn't know how to beat my own face, and I couldn't find a makeup artist last minute, so then I had to just go bare face, and all the other girlies were walking like beat the freak down, and I just looked like little baby face me because I didn't have any makeup on. And obviously I have not learned my lesson because I still have not learned how to do my makeup in that way. But definitely invest in some good makeup and learn how to beat your face. It definitely comes in handy, especially again, going back to cutting costs. If you are booking a test shoot and you have to pay this photographer for the test shoot package in itself, you can decrease the cost of the package by doing your own makeup instead of having the photographer book a makeup artist for you. So invest in quality makeup and learn how to beat your face. Kind of following in the same category of kind of what you look like, personal upkeep and personal maintenance is another thing that models have to pay for. It's an expense you can expect as a model because our whole career is based on how we look. So you gotta make sure you're looking right at all times. This means keeping the armpits waxed, keeping the legs waxed, keeping the bikini area waxed, because you never know what you're gonna be called for tomorrow. Like tomorrow they could want to fly you out to freaking Cancun for a resort shoot and you got a bush down there. You gotta be ready. You gotta stay ready so you don't have to get ready. You know, getting your eyebrows done, getting your nails done, always having a fresh manicure and pedicure, because you just never know when you're gonna get called on for a hand modeling job or when you're gonna get called on for a foot modeling job. Getting facials, making sure your skincare is up to par. So at least for me, a big investment that I do, or I started back doing, was my monthly facials. That's not cheap. That's like $160 to $180 every month depending on what I decide to get that day. But it makes my skin, it makes all the difference in the appearance of my skin. Gives me the youthful appearance. You guys know that I've had struggle with acne for years, and it definitely helps limit the amount of breakouts that I have on my face. So that is an investment I choose to make. Granted, this is not mandatory, but it's often what a lot of models are willing to pay for in order to keep up their appearance, and they are presenting their best self to these agencies and to these clients because they look their best, and when you look your best, you feel your best. Alright, winding down. I told you guys it was going to be a pretty quick video. These are like the major expenses, like the in-your-face expenses that there's usually no cutting corners around it, like you're just gonna have to dish out the money for it. But another one is for portfolio. Going back to the test shoots, obviously you're doing these photo shoots to get photos to put into your portfolio, but whether it is an iPad or your actual portfolio book, you will have to pay to store your photos somewhere so that when you go to a client or you go to an agency, you have something to give them. Granted, when you're just starting out, and maybe if you are really pressing for money, like you just don't have the money to do it, you can give them your phone, but I definitely recommend using an iPad or an actual like old school portfolio book because it is bigger. They're able to see your images more clearly, and yeah, it's just way more professional that way. Like when you're going to castings, most models are gonna have like a portfolio book, and so you just want to keep up with the competition, make sure you're presenting yourself in the most professional manner, and yeah, get an actual book. That's going to cost money. Along with having your book, you also want to have your comp cards. If you're not familiar with comp cards or composite cards, it's basically like a model's business card on a larger scale. So it's going to have your photo on it, usually a photo on the front, a photo on the back. It's going to have your measurements on it, it's going to have your name on it, and if you're signed with an agency, it's going to have your agency's name and contact information on it. Or if you're freelance, it's going to have your contact information on it. But this is basically a model's business card, and you have to pay for those. Whether you make them yourself on Canva and print them out at Staples, or whether you have your agency print you some, you're still going to have to pay for it. So that is another expense that models often incur. Along with that, if you are an agency represented model, your agency usually or should have a website, and your face should be somewhere on that website. And a lot of agencies charge models to put them on the website because I guess you're paying for like the maintenance of the website and like them updating your portfolio on the website and just like all the website fees. So you are often charged to be put on their website, as it's kind of like a form of like advertising who you are to the clients that are checking out the agency's website. So some agencies do it, some agencies don't. It is not a scam. Well, I won't say like it's definitely not a scam, but most of the time it's not a scam. If an agency charges you for hosting your photos and your portfolio on the website, don't automatically think it is a scam. It is common for agencies to do that. Obviously, inquire as much as you see fit, but that is I don't want you to be shocked by that, because I've been signed with agencies that don't charge a fee, and I've also been signed with agencies that do charge a fee. And then lastly, to tie it all together, another thing that models can expect to pay for is being represented. If you are signed to an agency, that agency isn't trying to get you work just for the fun of it. They got to get paid too. So most agencies take 20% of your pay as commission, and then you get the rest. So you can expect to pay 20%. Across the board, mostly it's 20%. You find some 10%, some 15%, but most of the time it's 20%. So when you're reading your contracts, when you do eventually get signed, because I want that for you, always check to see how much the agency is taking out. And sometimes it may vary, like if it's a commercial job, they'll take 20%. If it's a print job, they'll take 20%. If it's voiceover, they'll take 10%. So you want to make sure you read over your contract to really understand like how much they're taking out and for what. So yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Granted, this is not all encompassing, but these are the most common expenses that models incur while pursuing their career in the modeling industry. Just like any other career, obviously you have to spend money to get to the top or make it where you want to be. Consider it an investment in yourself. For me, I'm very cheap. Like my friends know, I'm like the cheapest person ever. And as I grew older, I had to understand what investing in myself really looked like, and seeing the long-term gain from these small investments that seemed really large in that moment. It seemed like a large lump sum of money, but over time, when you see, I guess when you get to reap the benefits of that investment, it really makes you realize the importance of investing in yourself. So I hope that this video didn't scare you off too much on the expenses, but instead it gave you more insight into what you can expect. So start saving those coins, guys. Start saving those coins. Anyways, as always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this video really helpful. And if you want more insight as to how you can continue pursuing your modeling career, definitely hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for the next video. 'Cause I'm not just a pretty girl.